you from Australia, down under, for Revolution Radio on Revolution.radio. All crisis actors here. Under Denver Airport, you know it. Home to fresh ideas, relatively uncensored, of course. Well, you say so. The chat room is full and buzzing, so that's great. Hey, Mazed. Is there Mazed and how many? 369 and a whole bunch of other people. Flippy Z Troll. Very nice. Flippy Z Troll. I am Flippy Z Troll. Also Omega Logos and Lavender Streams. Very nice. Very nice. Very good. This is Listener Funded Radio, which means that you, the listener, hold the purse strings. If you like what you hear, if you like what people talk about, if you like the shows, if you like the station, if you hate the station, please donate. Nothing like good hate. I'm going to hate myself some. Oh, baby. I'm feeling good and ready. Good and right. I'm good and right for hate. Yeah, donate. Any kind of currency is good, including crypto. Now, you can't donate. That's okay, because times are tough all over. It's a movie, I think, back in the 80s, 70s. Things are tough all over. So tell people of the station. If you can't donate, just tell people about the station. That's also good. So today is the 30th of July, 2024. That's right. Arnold Schwarzenegger's birthday.
Oh.
Today. Oh yeah, absolutely. Mr. Schwarzenegger. Herzlichen Glückwunsch zum Geburtstag. Tomorrow is... You know what tomorrow is, everybody?
Not his birthday.
No, not his birthday. Very good. Very vague. No, tomorrow it's an ancient, old religion holiday. Lamas. Lamas. That's right. Lamas. Let me just double check that. I don't want to tell you something that's wrong. But
is that
lamas.
a pagan thing?
What? Yeah. We don't say pagan. But
we don't. Wicca?
old religion.
Old religion.
Old religion. Yes, lamas. It's also called Luknasad. Luknasad. If you're from the Gaelic Isles. From the Gaelic Isles, yeah. And I'll make sure. Yes, it is indeed. That's tomorrow. Funnily enough, it's also Harry Potter's birthday, obviously for a reason. And it's also my birthday.
Hey!
I
knew there was something to it there.
There was something happening. What's going on over here? No, I was born on Lamas. Yes, that's right. I was born on Lamas. That's a good thing. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, and onto your smart device to grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home in a Grace Tablet digital radio. Still no royalties from that one. Why not? Go and check out the archives, which are freelicious. That's right. Nothing to pay before or after. How good is that? So that's another good reason to donate or tell people about the station. Pretty cool, I think. Before we start broadcasting at Unanga, which we will do momentarily, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it is Dark and Jung.
Thank you, sir. For myself, it is the Darak people, and we'd like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. And considering that once again most of the northern hemisphere is on fire, completely disregarding native fire management practices, I think that's a good thing that we do acknowledge our traditional owners of the land, our original people, the people that have been here for a long, long time, very long time, which is very good. It is very good that we have them still. It's very good that in Australia we're starting to listen to them, which is good. It's not goodness, but that's pretty much where the goodness ends. Where did we begin? Okay, the Olympics are in full swing. That's pretty good, right? We like that. Yeah. So, the world is on fire.
Yeah,
and
that's yours.
That's a fact. There are also interesting things afoot politically, right? In our world, the problems we create for ourselves. Today, the Australian government issued a no-fly advisory for Lebanon and told all Australian citizens to get the heck out of there. Now is the time, said Mr. Albanese, our Prime Minister, to take commercial flights out because we don't want to have to pay for the military flights to get to later.
Yeah.
So just come home on your own dime.
Hint, hint.
Hint, indeed. That's funny, but true. It is true. So I suggest, if you are in the Lebanon, anywhere in Lebanon, get out while you can, because those warnings don't come lightly, and it is therefore also likely that something is going to happen. Hamas is still denying. Sorry, not Hamas. Hezbollah is still denying that it fired that rocket that killed those kids playing soccer. Still denying it.
But we fired the other ones, just not
all of them.
Not that one.
Hundreds of the other ones we did fire. We didn't fire that one. Now I tend to believe them because, again, something is coming to a head. It is the whole timetable seems to be speeding up. Yeah. And because something is coming to a head, I think things are being pushed along rather abruptly, as it were. And what that means is that we see these things unfolding faster and faster. I mean, what happened in October was horrific. In October, rather than in Israel, this was a horrific thing. I still maintain that it was, at the very least, allowed to happen, in my opinion, just like 9/11, just like Pearl Harbor, just like a whole bunch of other stuff. And it was a false flag operation in some ways, not completely. Obviously, they used all the Hamas fighters and such, and other factions. It wasn't all Hamas; it was other factions involved in that particular nugget. And now we want to draw in Hezbollah into this conflict. Now, see, this is the interesting thing. Now, I'm going to step outside the comfort zones that we all like, Dave, just for a second.
Okay, I'm prepared.
There is a Christian movement, very strong in America, specifically America, evangelical movement that believes that the second coming of Christ is imminent, and they feel it. They feel incumbent upon themselves to hurry it along, to hurry along the
who's leaning on the fast forward button?
Yeah, that's the one, right? So hey. So that's what's happening here. We are we are looking at fast forward, and what these people would like to facilitate is the rapid ascension of them into heaven, like in the rapture. That's what they want to get done, and they also are looking to very rapidly plunge the rest of the world into quite a catastrophic war, the last war in their mind. And that's a thing. Those people are active in the Middle East, have been active there for a while. They're active in the United States as well. They want to bring about the second coming of Christ. And the second coming of Christ can only come about if there's a battle at Megiddo. You might know it better as Armageddon. The Battle of Armageddon. It's not an abstract term or denoting some kind of notion. It is a place. It's a valley. It's the Valley of Megiddo in the Middle East, namely in what is today Israel, Palestine, whatever. That's where it is. So,
yeah, and Damascus, Becky, is mentioned in Revelations.
Oh, of course it is.
I know. That's why I keep seeing and harking back to it. I just see all these biblical cities all being mentioned.
Well, I mean, look. The funny thing is this. Well, funny is maybe the wrong word, but for the last 2,000 years, and longer if you really want to go back, but for the last 2,000 years, the Middle East has been the birthplace actually the last 5,000 years. The last 5,000 years have seen the birth of three major world religions. There was Judaism, of course, the first one. That was quickly followed, well, not so quickly really, but it was followed by Christianity. And in fact, it was an accident as far as I'm concerned. It was really Paul, or Saul, who on the road to Damascus, Dave, your favorite city, was struck with an insight and an epiphany to, in fact, go ahead and become the carrier of the flame for Christianity, to start this nascent movement, which Jesus didn't do. And I know that a lot of people hate that particular nugget, but Jesus did not start Christianity. It was Paul, and it's the same Paul that writes all those letters that you might remember from Bible school, right? The letters to Thebes, letters to the was the letters to the I can't remember all the letters. I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you Paul's letters. I'll tell you. These are all cities in what is now Turkey, in Ionia, which was settled by Greeks at the time. And Paul himself spoke Greek and Argui. The letters to the Romans, the Galatians, the Corinthians, the Philemons, Philippians, etc., and Thessalonians as well. So there's heaps and heaps of letters that Paul wrote. I think there were 13 or 14 altogether. So he started it. Anyway, so there's Christianity, and then 600 years later, in the same area of the world, believe it or not, we have Islam, also based upon Abraham as the progenitor of these people. So all these peoples in the Middle East and the Levant, they all hark back to Abraham, including Muslims. So these are the three religions for whom the area is holy and important. So Jerusalem itself, of course, of major importance to the Jews, clearly, also to the Christians, and to the Muslims as the third holiest site of Islam, as they believe Muhammad was taken to heaven from a place in Jerusalem and brought back. Took to heaven and brought back. But that's where we are. So it's really quite nuts that there's such a focal point in that particular region, isn't it, Dave? It's like almost like when someone planned to have a conflict spring up. And if you think that's super far-fetched and completely unbelievable, fair enough. Fair enough.
Good
I
for
get
you
it. I
for not
understand
believing
why.
it.
Yeah, but be aware. Be aware that, and we've said this many times before, the people we're talking about here have a much longer view to history than you or I. We're talking thousands, potentially tens of thousands of years. So it's really important to understand that their view of the world is very different, and their plans are a lot further reaching and a lot more, what's the best word, complex and convoluted, because they are such long-term plans, right? And they're not always good, right? And there's setbacks, obviously. So just give me 1 second, Dave.
Sure. Well, it's now the Dave Show. Don't mind if I do. No, I'm just kidding. I'll hold the reins. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something.
I was doing something.
Well, you were doing something.
I was confident doing other things.
Well, I said nothing, so there you go.
Nothing. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, so these plans are laid down and have been laid down for long time. Because the thing is this, and this is important to remember as well, the ancient king lists, both the Sumerians as well as the Egyptian king lists, tells of the kings that ruled for tens of thousands of years.
And they lined up.
Right now, we think that's completely ridiculous, and I really have to spend a little bit of time here because it is important. Because what we're seeing right now is the culmination of plans that go way, way back.
Yeah.
Right, and I do believe that the event in the Younger Dryas may not have been it may have been deliberate, but I think it got out of hand. I think the level of destruction was not something that these folk had in mind. That's my opinion. It's simply because of the level of devastation it brought and how much it set everything back for them as well, in my opinion. Anyway, the kings lists talk about god kings or gods that came to earth to be the kings, and they, like I said, ruled for tens of thousands of years. There's no reason, and again I'll lose a lot of people here. That's all right. There's no reason why we, even in our present state, more or less, couldn't live very, very long lives. Now you say that's crazy, Mackie. Clearly you've lost your mind. Okay, I dig it, but before you throw rocks at me, please do understand that I have looked at this for some time now, and so has Dave, and it seems there's a kill switch that we have built
or
into
had
ourselves.
built in.
Yeah, someone built it in, and we said, what do you mean by that? That's crazy talk. Well, yeah, okay. So, what kills you? Now, what kills you is, usually a disease, aging. Aging kills you. I mean, unless you have a violent death. If you fall off a building or somebody shoots you or you have a car accident or you drown. I mean, that'll happen. That'll kill you. That'll
All
kill
those
you dead.
things.
Right? And it doesn't matter what else happens. But, even the parasites, the immortals, are not safe from that. But what we could avoid is the death by age.
Yeah.
And the reason we do, I mean, there are more complex reasons, but fundamentally it boils down to one simple thing. There are other things that are involved, but fundamentally we lose the ability to replicate ourselves perfectly as we get older. And as we're young, our DNA is protected by something called telomeres. The telomeres, for the longest time, were called junk DNA. Okay? Essentially, they were strands of DNA which didn't seem to be coding anything. They didn't seem to give any instructions to anything, didn't do anything. Right? Now, the jury is still out on if there might be instructions in there or not. I believe there are, and I believe they would be triggered once we reach a certain age, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, these telomeres, what they do is they protect the rest of the DNA, like your body, how your body is put together, from degrading, right? From degrading. Because each time a cell is copied, the telomeres get a bit shorter. And shorter and shorter and shorter. And that sort of starts at the age of 20-ish, 23, 24, 25, something like that. At which point, something interesting happens to your body. And what happens to your body is that telomerase is switched off. Telomerase is an enzyme that coats your telomeres and effectively protects them from the copying process. So if you have a telomerase protection in place, the copy of your DNA from one cell to another is more or less perfect.
Yeah.
Because there's no degradation. Now, the degradation is expressed in many ways, but we like to call it aging. That's what the degradation is. We age and age and age. And there's no good reason for it. There really isn't. I know, you read those books, the Bible and other religious texts, and you go, what a crazy story that is. They lived for hundreds of years or thousands of years. Ha ha, ha ha ha. How funny that is. Or is it? Or is it? Because, again, I always say this. I know you guys must be tired of it, but if you look at the mayfly, just a simple little mayfly, lives a day. The mayfly lives for a day. And that day, its entire life unfolds. If you could somehow communicate to a mayfly and say, I actually I could live up to potentially 36,000 days. What? What a crazy notion. 36,000 days, that's insane. What a silly thing to say, Mackie. But nonetheless, if you live to be 100 years, right? It's 36,000 days. And the mayfly would just, turn its back on you and go, you're insane. That's from the mayfly's perspective. They're trees. And I watched this really beautiful documentary, Dave, on redwoods. And there was this guy who went to this hidden valley of the redwoods in America. And these are trees that are over 100 meters tall. well above 300 feet. And some of them are 4,000 or 5,000 years old. And to that tree, we seem like a mayfly. Right? Think about that for a second. These are the largest and longest lived organisms that we know about on the planet. And other animals live long. I mean, turtles, sea turtles live for hundreds of years, for example. Okay, there's this, and we don't really know about the age of sharks or crocodiles. We know that some sharks are hundreds of years old.
That's true.
And so, is it really so far-fetched? I mean, of course, in our current understanding, in our current situational awareness, these ages seem completely ludicrous. Thousands of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. Ridiculous. Or is it? Or is it? I submit here that it is not. And all of these things, again, to come back to where we are going initially, all of these things we're seeing unfolding here are long-laid plans to establish something that must have existed once, or something that they tried to create before and maybe weren't able to, which is total control of us. And boy, oh boy, are we doing a good job complying.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we are doing real good in that we have almost given up, I think. Not quite, but I think almost, because you look around, Dave, and so much apathy. People are happy with their near-food experiences. Education is out the window. There's no future. In fact, there's less of a future than there ever was. Right now, people have less of a future by numbers than they ever did before. Right? And we're taking more and more of the future away by making more and more people poor. And if you got 2 or 3 jobs and you still can't get ahead, you really have to ask yourself, hang on a second here. This is just not right. I mean, this cannot, what? How? How is it possible that I'm working 2 or 3 jobs, or even having like one really great job, whatever, right? How is it possible that I can't get ahead? How? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've got friends that are facing existential dread now. In Australia, of all places, in Australia, you face existential dread. How is that possible? It shouldn't be possible, but it is, because we have deliberately, in my opinion, mismanaged the economy. We've done everything we can to undermine prosperity for the masses. We saw, again, I come back to it, in 2008, the single biggest redistribution of wealth from Main Street to Wall Street. Single biggest redistribution of wealth in the history of the world. Communism. I spit on you. Communism. Nothing. Amateurs. This is Dave. I mean, from your point of view, right? I mean, is there a way out of this?
You're funny. It isn't the road or our road that we're walking down now. It isn't ours. I remember when, let's just say life was simpler. The government wasn't in your pocket. And the life we were living was ours to take. Yeah, sure, we had limits, but because no one was paying any attention to us as individuals, we could get about. Not like today. Oh my goodness. Everything you do and say can be held against you. Everything you post online can be held against you.
Oh yeah.
It's there forever. Every single photo you take with a digital device, there it is. It's a thing. It could live forever. It could live forever. Just remember that. So every single thing you post online, on any platform, is viewable by the FBI, the CIA, Secret Service. It doesn't matter, NSA. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't even matter what country you're in. It's all trackable, viewable, and analyzable. Your psychological profile can be analyzed through how you interact, what you say, and what things you associate with. This association, guilt by association, doesn't mean that you're head over heels into it. It could simply mean, at its simplest, you were curious to see how the other people live. That's it at the simplest form. Or you accidentally hit join. Right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Someone can play the data any way they wish. So, when I said it's not our road anymore that we're walking down, this is a road that's been designed. The road designed for us to get us to where they want us down this road. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to sound like Kamala Harris, but I'm just going to say, that when we're looking at, doesn't matter which project, if you're looking at project 2025.org, there's a set of rules there to simplify American government because it's overly cumbersome. Makes sense. Makes total sense. If those things are there as protection mechanisms, then protest. Protest the hell out of those rules. That's fine. You're probably not going to stop it, and it doesn't matter who's going to be in power. It's number one. Number two, the WEF. They've got a 2030 project to get everyone onto a digital currency and control every single last aspect of your life, plus to be able to then limit you, to keep you down, not to let you be successful and be another billionaire. They don't want more of them. They want to stretch the gap and increase this chasm between us and the ultra wealthy, because that group, it's not us. They're them now and we're us. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the 120 years you mentioned, Mickey, I think is really interesting, because the Bible does mention that. That's a fixed human limit. You can't age past there. It's in our DNA. The limitation is in our DNA to say you can't live like we used to pre-flood. It's all there. And the passage says, then, this is Gen 6:3. It says, then the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he also is flesh. Nevertheless, his days shall be 120 years.
Yeah.
This is post-flood. So, that's post-flood Lord. Pre-flood was, woohoo, look at you go. We needed people, we needed to make people to do our hard labour for us, because the other people complained, the last lot we made. Right? They had to make us smart enough to be able to understand rules and walk a path. Have you ever had a dog, Meki, that couldn't walk on a path?
Never had a dog.
There you go. So there's a few particular skills that certain animals have. Not all of them. But the ones that we trust more, and that's children also, have to be able to walk along a path. It's safe. The path is safe. You can either just use your follow mechanism, because someone else in front of you is going to be walking on a path, but maybe not you, right? Or not a pet of yours, or something like that. I know that's the ultimate goal, is to walk with, say, a dog not on a leash, who is, obedient to you and won't run away, but also walks on the path too. So this is really important. And the reason why I bring this up is the Sumerians needed a people of effort to be able to do their hard labor. That's us. Hello, us, right? Now, post-flood, we don't live forever, because living forever back then was probably fine until we got a bit mischievous, apparently. So, what are we doing wrong now? Is it big? I think what has evolved in business and through money, not just successful businesses, because some businesses are still running a loss. It doesn't matter how long they're going for. I'm looking at you, Amazon, right? You know, they get postage for free. It's all organised with the government.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's how you can't compete against shipping any kind of thing at all, right? How do you compete against that?
Let me think. Free. Oh.
Yeah, not so much. Yeah, huh? So those companies that have suddenly risen up and are in the, say, top 100 companies in the world and have the most money, and those billionaires who have the most money have decided to create themselves as the new world governors. It's now their world. They have enough to buy it. But we won't buy it. See, what we're going to do is we're just kind of enslave everybody else so they can't ever become wealthy like us. And what do they need to do that? Well, there's rules, and they know what's going to happen next. And this is the road we're walking down. We're not walking down a road of our choice. This is a pre-designed road. You know, maybe there could be less of us, because, you know, less admin's cheaper, Mackie.
There you go.
Right? So there could be less of us. Then if there could be a way of just deleting us, they could. I'm sure someone's furiously hitting the delete key. It's not working, sir.
Oh, right? That's actually important. Thanks for reminding me. That's really important. Keep going.
So, all I'm witnessing right now is that we seem to be on the precipice of a new delete as many people as possible war in who cares anymore, for what reason doesn't even matter. I am very concerned, Meki, about the foods that are being offered, this stupid health scale that they've just added in Australia that makes no sense whatsoever. Fresh food, not all fresh food that you can buy, that you have to make yourself, basically, right, into a meal. That should have the highest health ratings, and they don't.
Yeah. So, there is actually something important that I've been meaning to say for a number of weeks now. I've always forgot it, but thank you for reminding me. The fertility, birth rates.
Oh yeah, hello.
The deleting of the people. Now, as we have said for a while now, SARS-CoV-2, and there were 4 or 5 independent studies, so don't take my word for it, that postulated that SARS-CoV-2 significantly negatively affected male
totally
fertility rates.
Fertility, okay? That's right.
Significantly. Now,
during the infection, dropped it to 0.
Yeah. Oh, it was dreadful. Now, funnily enough, this is a general thing, and there are many factors going in here. SARS-CoV-2 was just one other thing. But this is a report from March 20, 2024. The Lancet. The Lancet is a no-nonsense medical journal. Dramatic declines in global fertility set to transform global population patterns by 2100. Okay, now this is what they're saying, everybody. And again, this is not me saying it. By 2050, over 3/4 countries will not have high enough fertility rates to sustain population size over time.
Yeah.
This will increase to 97% of countries by 2100. Pronounced shift in patterns of live birth are also predicted. Okay. Now, the problem here is this has been a targeted effort for some time. Excuse me. And in fact, what has happened, the global TFR, the fertility rate, has more than halved over the last 70 years, from around 5 children for each female in 1950 to 2.2 children in 2021. So remember how I said earlier that these plants have been in train for a long time?
Yep.
They have. In fact, what we're seeing is with SARS-CoV-2 a dramatic decrease. There was a recent report in Australia where our birth rate in Australia, which had never really happened before, had declined dramatically. And this only last couple of weeks or so. It will drop even further.
Yeah.
It will drop even further. In 2022, in the United States alone, it decreased by 3%. So this is actually quite worrying. And I'll tell you why. In order for society to work, you have to at least replace yourself. Like if you've got a society like ours right now
That's
today,
right.
and with whatever jobs we have, forget growth for a second, right? But you have to at least be able to replace yourself. But so forget that for a second. So what if you don't have to replace yourself? And all of a sudden, I'm sure you can see that AI and automation and all this IT stuff takes on a whole new light.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a very sinister and dark light. And you realize, well, we don't really need to have people now that much anymore. The jobs will be gone. Now, ask yourself, okay, first, chicken or the egg? I believe that there was always a plan to reduce the population. Always had been, by whatever means necessary. Nuclear war was deemed, in my opinion, too costly overall, and I think the inner Earth civilizations would have had something to say about that too, never mind the moon. But reducing the birth rate, what an elegant solution. What an elegant solution to a really tough problem. Because think about this for a second. The birth rate has been going up steadily over the last, 2,000 years. Right? 2,000 years. We're at 8 billion people today. But all of a sudden, the birth rate is dropping off a cliff, especially in developed nations. And if you do this slowly, so each generation loses 10%, 10%, 10%, you can shut down the things you no longer need. It's not going to be, because the thing is this, Dave, right? If we let's say tomorrow we kill 7 billion people.
Sure.
Right? The chaos and the confusion and the collapse would be total. It would be total collapse, complete and total collapse of civilization.
You'd have to move all the survivors into a single country to look after them.
Yeah, 100%. But that wouldn't happen because everybody would just be trying to survive, right?
That's
and
right.
Killing each other in the process.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a declining birth rate, right? Not zero. I'm not talking zero here. I'm not talking like one generation wiped out. I'm talking about just less and less people being born. That's a very elegant solution because you can slowly shut things down. And even better, Dave, if everybody is already concentrated in these cities.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you don't have to concentrate your infrastructure. It's already concentrated, and
that's right.
And if you look at the world today, the concentration of populations in major metropolis or major metropolitan areas is unprecedented. It has never been this high. And I speak only for Sydney, but I'm sure it's the same in the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
In Sydney, everything is being rezoned. So Sydney is about 6 million people. It's by far the largest population spot in Australia. And in Sydney, we have rezoned everything that is near a train line or a bus line, and we're building metro lines, and we're rezoning there. Now, rezoning means that where prior to rezoning, you had a single family home, 4 bedrooms, whatever. You now have the ability to tear those down and build apartment blocks.
That's right.
And that is happening all over Sydney. And it's happening at an enormous pace. Other places in the world, Singapore is the same, Hong Kong is the same. Hong Kong had no choice, always been like that. And a lot of people are pointing to Hong Kong as the city of the future. Look at that. Transportation hubs, and you can live right on top. You might never have to leave because the shopping center is right there. Maybe even work from home. But even if you don't have to work from home, your transportation is right there. So you go from your home to your work. You might never see the sky, But that's where we are. This is a very clever plan. You gotta admit that. We don't care about people. We only, as the parasites, all they want is for their life to continue, their way of life, and even better, to make it better. The rest of the world can be a parkland, like the Amazon was back in the day. The Amazon was a parkland. I don't care what anyone else says. You have the soil to prove it. There's special soil in the Amazon, the Black Earth. That is, we still don't know how they did it. That is like nothing else on the planet. That it was a parkland. Now we see the buildings, we see the roadways, we see the waterways. It's insane. But you won't find them in your school books. No, it'll take 50 years before you get it. But do you see how clever it is? This is not a societal collapse. It's just a downgrading. We're just slowing down. It's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
all right.
So then it would also be okay that the majority of farmland in America is getting bought up
Yeah.
and not farmland anymore.
No.
It's just being decommissioned, bought up and decommissioned. And Bill Gates is one of the largest contributors to this buying up of farmland. Probably, I thought that he would be going straight to genetic, meat factories and what have you. I'm not seeing the fruit of those labours yet. Long plan, right? So it's not something we're seeing today. I was watching some information about the American business lease market for commercial buildings is most of those loans are coming due, and it's the most uninhabited time in business history, which is surely going to have an impact on the banks. Because of their assets, what are they holding in assets? And you would probably see what we saw before, which was an amalgamation of different suffering banks with larger, more successful banks. And they said it's setting itself up to be worse than 2008, which is really interesting, because when you think about who has been asked to go back to the office after working from home with COVID. The most successful time of where the lever tilted towards the workers' comfort. It was the safety first, then it became a comfort thing, and there's so many comic pieces out there with CEOs going, "Don't make me say it." Working isn't supposed to be comfortable, especially for the workers. And the final statement. Oh, and by the way, I won't be in most of next week, right?
Yeah, in fact, most companies, the top level executives, are remote workers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
by definition, that's just what they are. And you better come to the office, my friend. There's so many stories I could tell you, which I won't because it'll give away where I work. And
that's
I don't really want to do that.
No,
but see. I spent a lot of time recently looking at 19th century costume dramas and reading up on some of the stuff in the Industrial Revolution, etc., etc. And work was tough. I mean, they really had to fight for their rights.
Yeah.
This is only like a couple hundred years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had to fight, and people did die. The union movement was bloody, and it took a lot for the workers to get their rights. In the end, they did.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are just giving it all away again, which I find hilarious. Because you have to understand, people with money, and I'm talking about big money, right? They have no interest in sharing with you. Trickle-down economics is a myth. Trickle-down economics does not work. It doesn't work. Are all business people like that? No, they're not. Again, the Hewlett-Packard were a massive contributor to the wealth of their workers because they had profit sharing. Huawei does profit sharing. Do you know that?
Mm.
I was very close to the managing director here in Australia. I wouldn't say we're friends, but we did hang out a couple of times and we had a few chats. And he tells me, no, Huawei is all profit shared by the employees. I go, wow, that's brilliant. I guess it's a bit of communism there for you, but certainly, I mean, if someone offered me profit sharing, I go, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'd work harder too. Why? Because it's my interest.
That's
Whereas
right.
because if I know that I'm just working for some dude or some whatever, some entity,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sweating blood and crying tears and tar. Why would I do that? Why would I break my back if there's nothing in it for me? It's human nature, right? And saying, oh, we're paying you a wage, well, that's no longer enough, because the funny thing is this: in Australia, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in Australia, productivity and profits have gone up over the last 30 years. And you know what stayed the same? Wages.
Wages, yeah, that's right.
And you know what that's called? It's actually a term for it. It's called wage theft.
Oh, wage theft, yeah, of course.
It's an economic term. Because you haven't seen people are getting richer. And you know how they do it? You are doing it for them. You are making them richer. But you're not getting your fair share. In fact, in Australia, we just introduced a new visa. So guest workers or people on a working visa can stay here longer, up to 12 months, to fight employers that ripped them off.
Wow.
We just introduced that visa this week or last week, so they can actually stay here for 12 months to fight them in court and get the money they're owed.
I'm looking at you, 7-Eleven.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's others, many others too, and companies have really, I guess, tried their darndest not to pay the people what they should be paid. These are not isolated incidents. Like you go, oh, it's just a bad apple. No, you'd be lucky to find a good apple in that barrel. Okay? Show me the good apple, please. because that's the attitude of these people. It is elitism, in my vernacular, parasitism at its worst. These are parasites. Parasites. If you rip somebody off that is worse off than you are, and you knowingly rip them off, you're a parasite.
Yeah, that's right.
You are a stain. You know what? You're a skid mark, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because no, I'm serious. The world will not get better if we allow for this behavior to continue. But white collar crime, Dave. When was the last time? I mean, really, that a white collar criminal really got what was coming to them?
I don't know.
Well,
I can't remember.
I think it was in the 80s. There was this
In
big
the 80s,
loans and something scandal in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Enron, maybe.
American
even.
Savings and Loan,
Yeah, American Savings, that's the one. But other than that, no, I'm sorry, brother. I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, when the banks in Australia were doing that exchange thing, and they had a little chat room, and they're going, I'm going to put the money tomorrow. I'm transferring, 20 million into this currency. So if you all buy into that now, when I've traded it, then you'll be able to jump out with more money.
Yeah.
And that was a thing. It was in the news, right? And only one person was let go from the company because of that.
Yeah. And if you look at this chat room here, Flea, I don't know the logos. But look, you're right. You're right. I mean, that's they've just taken the profits and not give anything to the workers. I mean, the way it should work in a functioning economy, you should make good products that last. Right? But we don't do that anymore. We make products that have an expiry date.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Because if we didn't do that, then why would you buy more stuff that you don't need? Right? Because you wouldn't. And it's astounding to me how our values have been turned upside down in the last 100 years. My grandfather, I know I spoke about this before, my grandfather, he liked to buy a thing and then have that thing, whatever it is, doesn't matter, but he wanted that thing for life. Now in his particular case, World War II happened, and a whole bunch of stuff that he had just went up in flames. He had to buy new stuff, but nonetheless, all the stuff that he did buy, he wanted to just buy once. That was his motto. And he could, because in Germany we did produce quality. You could buy quality. It's great. I mean, I have stuff that I've had for years, right? And because I spend a bit more, but in the end, I actually spend less, right? Because if you buy something that is maybe it's 10 times more expensive than the cheap thing,
Yeah.
but in the time that you own the more expensive thing, you would have bought 20 other cheap things.
Yeah, that's right.
So you don't win. You don't win.
No.
And we've been educated to believe that everything is throwaway. I mean, we have throwaway phones now. It's unbelievable. I'm just waiting for the throwaway car. Really? No, really. No, just a car. It's just everything is throwaway. It's insane. And see, the other problem is the ease with which we get things these days. It's easy to get things, right? If you got money,
Yeah.
it's easy to get it, right? You don't have to save up for stuff necessarily. I mean, you can buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later. Yeah, 5 times as much. Why not? Sure, good idea. We are being forced into consumption. We have been made addicts of consumption. There are 2 addictions we have in this society. 2. One is electricity, and the other is consumption. And unfortunately, those 2 go hand in hand. And you know what the funny thing is? They wouldn't have to be addictions if we lived in a post-scarcity society, which we could also. If we only had access to all those inventions whose inventors mysteriously died or disappeared.
Yeah.
Because that actually happened too. So this whole thing is broken, Dave. The whole thing is broken, and you really have to just scramble to make sure you and yours are okay. I'm glad this exists, this radio station, this community of people that are like-minded. But I'm telling you right now, this is, it's not a wake-up call. The wake-up call is long past. It's like saying, oh, disclosure happened. Yeah, that's right, you were asleep, but it happened. I don't know what this is, Dave. I think we just, you know what we are? I tell you what we are, you and me, Dave, and maybe the rest of the station as well. We are the radio commentators that are sitting on the bridge of the Titanic, telling everybody how quickly that Titanic is sinking, and we're telling them all about the shape of the iceberg. That's us. We are sitting. Oh, look, they're rearranging the deck chairs. Excellent work. Well done. Not enough lifeboats? Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, that's what we are.
Oh, yeah, we're calling it out play by play.
Yeah, and sometimes even ahead of time. But it doesn't matter. It has no impact. Why? Because not enough of us are saying it. Maybe not enough of us, our listeners are out there saying it. Maybe not enough people are listening. I don't know. But I can tell you, you don't have to be a genius to see it all. And I think a lot of people have opted for willful ignorance, Dave.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. And you know what? Some people, call me up and say, "Hey, Dave, you were right. The thing you posted a while back, I just found out that was true." And they go, "Yeah, yeah, it was. I don't know what you thought before, but don't tell me. Don't tell me. It's all right. Yeah, I'm glad you're aligned now."
Yes, welcome.
Welcome. Then they go, "What's going to happen next?" I said, "Read my other posts." Because it's all happening.
Ask them, okay, what if I tell you what you're going to do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, really? Well, if I told you what's next, what would you do? I can tell you what's going to happen play by play. Maybe not, in minute detail, but in the broad outlines, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. But so what? To what end?
Yeah,
you're almost better off not knowing.
Yeah, that's. I've got a group of friends that don't want to know. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
They describe the stuff that I post as just really weird.
Yeah, it's so weird, Dave. Why can't you be usual? Just be usual. It's not usual.
Well, when things happen to you because you post stuff and you talk about stuff, when things happen to you as a direct result of that, I think you're on target. So.
Well, but what happened to you recently? And I know there's not much time, but there's always Thursday. There's always Thursday.
That's right.
I gotta understand why they would do that particular thing.
Yeah, I know.
We'll share with you on Thursday what happened to you guys, because we need to talk about it so it doesn't happen. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
We'll talk to a couple of the things that they've experienced,
Mhm.
and hopefully by putting it out in the open, it won't happen anymore.
And there's the music.
Oh, look at him! He's playing so nicely on the doodle-phone. Doodle. It's a doodle phone. Okay, hey, this was Platos Cave. Thank you so much for sharing this precious hour of your morning or evening with us here. Really appreciate it. Something is going to come up here on the station, I'm sure, so don't go anywhere. It's important you stay here. But most of all, stay.